All right, folks, here we go. So we're working on Chapter 7 now, so Section 7.1, ratios and proportions. So formal definition here, ratio is a comparison of two quantities. So you can represent it as in a fractional form right here, or as a semicolon here, and always want to reduce fractions to the best of our ability. This next concept here is one that's going to come up quite a bit, and I've seen throughout mathematical careers. Extended ratio, used to compare three or more numbers, so A with a B and a C. You can put those in ratio forms, add them up, set them equal to what we're doing here. So we're going to use that in a little bit here too. So I know some of you are in class, or we're in class, some of you are not in class. So this one says, what is the ratio of the number of ceiling lights that are on? So we have 15 to the number of lights that are off in this class. So that would be 5. So in this example, we have a 15 to 5 ratio. Like I said, reduce that, take a 5 out of both those, so that's a 3 to 1. You could write it as a 3/1 fraction, that type of thing there. Okay. Next one feeds off of that, so you should be able to answer question number 2 from that. The ratio of the number of lights that are on, so it was 15 to the total number of lights, so you add the 15 and 5 from the previous, that was 20. So we have a 15 to 20 ratio, which obviously take out the 5 again, and that goes to 3 to 4. You can write it again in a fraction form, 3 to 4. The extended ratio right here is one that, like I said, we're going to see again, and one that's going to come up. So in the triangle, the ratio of the measures of the sides. So the sides, think about sides, that's a perimeter. That's not the equals 180, so that's angles. Is 4 to 6 to 9, and the perimeter is 190 inches. So all we do is we put an x after those numbers, so 4x plus 6x plus 9x, in this case, equals 190, because that's the perimeter, that's what they gave us. Add these three up, you get 19x equals 190. You divide by 19, and you get a value, so x is 10. But again, what does it say? It says find the length of the longest side. So what you do after that is you actually plug it in to all of them. I would, just to make sure that I know how to do all of them. So you take a 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. So you have a 40, 60, and 90 are your side lengths. But if it says find the length of the longest side of the triangle, the final answer there would be 90 inches. 90 inches. All right, next slide here, folks. Proportion, formal definition of proportion, an equation stating that two ratios are equal. So we have A, B, and C are non-zero numbers, so you can't divide by zeros. So what we do is, again, we go to the cross multiply. This means the IFF stands for if and only if. So this is where we do the cross multiplication. A times D equals, and then over here, B times C. So the next one here is an example. It says for 4 and 5, are the following ratios in proportion? For the and again, folks, I apologize, this didn't print well, but these are supposed to have lines underneath. So 2 over 3, is that equivalent to 36 over 54? So you could find a number that divides into them evenly, or you could cross multiply. Does 2 times 54 equal 3 times 36? In this specific example, it does. 108 equals 108, so you would say yes. In the next example, again, remember these are supposed to have lines underneath here. It just didn't print out. We have 1.2 times 1.3. Does that equal 4.5 times 2.6? Okay. So with that in mind, I have 1.56. And that does not equal the 11.7. So in this case, your answer would be no. Next one, we're using the same idea here. Now, this case, we are solving. This was an important concept that we want to make sure we know how to do. So we want to go 3 times 75 equals 5 times x. So now we're just basically solving an algebra equation. So this is 225 equals the 5x. You divide by the 5. We get a final answer of x equaling 45. Let's circle that, make sure we're good to go. Next one here, what we want to do, folks, is we want to throw this in parentheses. Very important. So when we do our cross multiplication, we have 6 times the 4x minus 5 equals the 3 times the negative 26. Very important to make sure we do that, and then we need to distribute. 24x minus 30 equals, let's see here, negative 78. What we're doing from here then, you add the 30 over. So we have 24x equals negative 48. Divide by 24. And we find that x is negative 2. And I think it asks for x, if I'm not mistaken. X is negative 2. Good to go. Next one, now we're going to actually read through some word type problems and try to answer the same thing. Number of students who participate in sports at Central High School is 520. Total number of students is 1850. Find the athlete to student ratio to the nearest tenth. So you would just take the students that are in the sports divided by the total number, which gives you about 0.3. Now, I don't like the way that the book left this answer. So I would hope that we move it 1 decimal to the right and we end up with a final fraction of 3 over 10 instead of a 0.3 over 1. The 3 to 10 ratio it looks a lot better, and it seems to flow a little bit better. This one right here, the country with the longest school year is China, 251 days of school. Divide that by the 365, and you find that you would get about 0.69. Now again, they just asked for a decimal equivalence, so the one that is the closest would be C, which is 0.7. Next one here, again, using extended ratios, they give you that, but if they don't, when you face with a problem like this, let's read it. We have a triangle, the ratio of the measures of, now we're talking angles. Remember, angles add up to 180, so we're going to go 5x plus 12x plus 13x, and we know, again, the sum of the angles is 180. Add these numbers up, we're going to get 30x equal 180. You divide by 30, and you get a total that x is 6. Now again, so we found x, but then it also says find the measure of the angles. So what do we do with that? You now take those numbers and you plug it in, 6 here, 6 here, 6 here. So our angles are 30, 72, and 78. So that is the measure of the 3 angles. It says find the measure of the angles. That is the measure of the 3 angles. Next one, same idea. The ratio of the angles is 3 to 5 to 7. So again, hopefully you're trying these on your own instead of just watching me. 3x plus 5x plus 7x, again, equals 180. This is 15x equals 180. Divide by 15. 180 divided by 15, we get 12. And then you plug that in, 12 times 3, 36. 12 times 5, and then 12 times 7. You get B as your final answer. So next slide here is just, again, the same concept with the cross products, cross multiplication. I think we already went through that, so now we're just going to do a few more of these. I'm not sure if you folks did these in algebra or not, but again, just going through this. Again, cross multiplication right here. 6 times y gives me 6y. 9 times the 18.2 gives me this. You divide by 6. Final answer of 27.3. Next one here, again, using the parentheses. You want to put the parentheses here. This looks like the same one we already did, so x is negative 2. This one, again, I would ask that you try this on your own. Cross multiplication. 13.5 times 14 equals 42 times b. So as we're going through that one right there, we would find that, let's see, so we need 13.5 times the 14 gives me 189. 189 equals 42b. So we divide that by 42, and I got an answer of 4.5, which is B. This one here, again, same idea, same concept of what we're doing, just cross multiplication. 2 times the 7n minus 1 equals the 8 times the 15.5. Again, multiply that out. 14n minus 2 equals, then we have the 8 times the 15.5 gives me 124. You add that over, so we have 14n equals 126. 126 divided by the 14 will give us 9. Final answer of 9. Last slide here, folks. When we take a look at this one here, it says we have a random survey of 50 students and found that 20 had a part-time job. So what we have to do here, and then it says there are 810 students in the school, predict the number that will have a part-time job. So you just have to be consistent. So if you put total on the bottom, most people put total on the bottom, and then what you have is people with the job on the top. So it says that 20 had a part-time job over 50 total out of that survey, and you want to equal to, we want to find how many out of a total of 210. So we just have to be consistent with how we set that up. If you put the total on the top, that's up to you, but just be consistent. So then we would cross multiply. 20 times 810 equals 50 times x. 20 times the 810 gives me the 16,200 equals the 50x. You divide that number by 50, and we end up with a total of 324 students. So again, you got to be consistent when you set up the proportions. This is just another slide that talks about equivalence. Just wanted to put that one up for you. All right, great job, folks.